Hey guys, it's B, and I'm participating in the My Genre project. The creator is Caleb J. Ross, and I'll link the video in the description. My genre is fantasy. Examples of my favorite fantasy books are Sabriel, which is the first in the Horson trilogy. She is suddenly given this huge responsibility in taking down necromancers, and it's got a really interesting magic. My favorite part was that this was the first book I read ever that had a female protagonist, and it was entirely in her point of view, and it was just really exciting and really influential to me as a kid. The next book is Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman. This is a book about a man named Richard who has a very boring life. It's very average. He has a fairly typical job with a really jerky fiance, and he falls into the cracks. He meets a girl named Dora, and then all of a sudden everything in his life changes. The world underneath London, called London Below, and it has fiefdoms, it has baronies, it has creepy bridges, it also has royal rats. It's a really, really good book, and it's one of my favorite Neil Gaiman books. Also, I have a shirt that has something to do with it. London Above, London Below. Another one of my favorite fantasy books is The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. This is fantasy writing like, oh my god. Or this is a book about a person who has done so much in this universe that there's legends and myths about this person, and he's chronicling them all within 3 days to a person, and you get his very beginnings as a child, and it goes through his time in the university, and it goes through the intricate magics that he has to learn, and how he has to basically separate his mind into different parts to make himself believe that the magic is happening, and it's just a really fascinating world. The last book I'll show you is Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. I know I've been saying a lot about this book lately, but this series is good. This is going to be my new Harry Potter. Like, I love this book series so much. It has a really interesting magic system, really awesome female characters. It has a great portrayal of a person with depression. It also has most of the people in this book, most of the main characters are not white, which is kind of awesome, and it's just a really, 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 really good book. Like, I wish I could explain it better, but it's just, you need to read it. Tolkien said, "Fantasy is escapist, and that is its glory. If a soldier is imprisoned by the enemy, don't we consider it his duty to escape?" The reason I love fantasy is because it is escapist for me. I grew up with a pretty rough family. I had a lot of problems with my extended family, and then when I went to school, I also had problems with my teachers, just because I learned how to read according to Mom at 3 years old. So I already knew how to read when I got to kindergarten, and I was one of those really enthusiastic kids. I was literally Hermione Granger. I would raise my hand, and if they didn't call on me, I would just blurt out the answer. I was sent to the principal's office all the time. So I would read anything I could get my hands on, much to the annoyance of my extended family, who didn't like that a woman was reading. Well, I wasn't a woman then, but a potential woman was reading instead of cooking and cleaning. So, and because of my Hermione-ness, I didn't really have very many friends in school. I would sit at this bench under the shade just to read and relax and chill out in between classes, and one day this person came up and started sitting next to me, and every recess we would just read Harry Potter under the tree together. And I don't remember exactly when we started talking, but we did, and he became my very first friend, and it was amazing. It was awesome to have somebody to share these worlds with, to talk about the magic, to make theories about things, and Harry Potter pretty much opened up a world for me. I started going online and looking up fan fiction. I started posting on forums, even though I wasn't really allowed to because I wasn't 13 yet, but don't tell MuggleNet. And so it just became a way of life for me to read whatever I could that was like Harry Potter. In 7th grade, I got moved to my uncle's house in Houston, Texas, and I had 2 friends there, and we would all hang out in the library, and our friend was the librarian, and she just let us check out as many books as we wanted, and she introduced me to the Chronicles of Narnia, and I loved that series as well. In high school, I read Lord of the Rings. High school was a really particularly difficult time for me because I got moved from my mom's house to a children's home, and just having the Lord of the Rings there and all of the other fantasy books I'd read, Sabriel, the Chronicles of Narnia, and the Harry Potter books, that was enough to keep me going. It was enough because I had these worlds to go to when mine wasn't good enough. And that's why I do it now, because being an adult kind of sucks. And so I like going, and I like to just read and just escape from the world for a little bit. Even if it's only for half an hour or 10 minutes. I'm not here. And I'm not me. I'm not boring old Bee. I'm this magical person with powers and who's brave and smart and funny, and it makes me feel better. It's therapeutic, and that's why I love it. That's why I love to read fantasy.